Welcome to Ecstatic Yoga. I am Grace. We're going to be practicing a floor practice today, and we're going to be discussing the elements of a yoga class. We had a lesson on that last week, I think, but we're going to be doing a little practice on the elements of a yoga class. So we're going to go through getting ready for the class, the welcoming and greeting your students, and then some warm-ups. So let's see, let's go into so preparing for the class, that's before the class, that's getting the space set up. So you want to make sure that it's a clean space, it's a comfortable space, the temperature of the room is nice, it looks good for your students. They come into a uncluttered and clear space. I like to have it smell good, so I like to maybe an hour before class have some essential oils or incense, making sure if it's incense that the smoke is diffused before they come in. They feel good. You could even do a little sage or sun palo to clear the energy of the class. And set up your space, your mat, anything you need, your water bottle. So that's all set up. Get your music ready so you know that your music soundtrack, whatever it's going to be for the class. Of course, you'll have your class already prepared. And then when your students come, you're fully present and you're ready. You're not running around trying to check the temperature or sweep the floor or set your mat out. You've got that all set so you can be really present. When students come in, and they often come in a little before class, it's nice to welcome the students, eye contact. If you can remember their names, that's always good if they're they're repeating students to your class. And you may not be able to say hello to everyone because they all come in at once. It's a big class, but connecting and eye contact, doing the best you can. And then as the students come into the class, it's good to ask any of the students if they have any concerns or injuries or limitations, so you know. And it's always a good time right before the class to let your students know that to really manage their own bodies. If they ever need to take a break, a water break or a pause break to just sit or stand or even lay down, that's always welcome. And if their body is ever in stress or pain, always backing off and going into the rest or backing off to the pose so that they can make sure that they don't have any injuries during your class. And then beginning the class after you're welcome, it's nice to start with a little grounding, an opening where they can ground into their body and be present. A lot of people are coming from maybe work or children or a busy life, and to shift from that busy life and all the responsibilities, the stress or whatever they've been dealing with, to move into presence and be present with themselves, because this is their time for them. And a little breath awareness is always good. I love to do the scan where you invite all the students to really notice their physical body, their energy body, bringing them into the inner being, the pratyahara, the inner aliveness, so they can scan that inner being. How is the emotions? How is the energy inside, the sensations? And then a little bit of warm up before you move into your main asana practice, just moving a little. That doesn't need to be long. And then moving into the main asana practice. And then a few releases. And then you can move into some pranayama if you like, and then relaxation. And closing. Relaxation is kind of like the meditation. If you like after relaxation to move into a little pranayama and meditation after, that's always wonderful after a relaxation. So let's continue with the practice, and we'll move into keeping the awareness of all of this. So I'll remind everybody, and I often forget to do it in the beginning. It's one of the things. I had a yoga class yesterday, and I failed a few things. I had not done right in the beginning, mentioned to please watch your body. If you ever need a break, water break, rest break, that's always okay, and always backing off if you feel any pain. And if it's an in-person, I always let the people know, where the bathroom is, so they know if they ever need a bathroom break. If they have our new students, it's good to let your students know where the bathroom is. So I had forgot to let them know where the bathroom was, and I repeated kind of into the practice a little to that. And the other thing is, I had some music going on in the other room. So when we got into Savasana, and I turned off the lights, turned off the music, or I turned the lights down low, and to allow that nice silent stillness, could hear that music in the other rooms. So just something to be aware of. And we just learn and grow and improve as we go. And I've been doing this for years, and I still had forgotten a few things. So be easy on yourself. We're working towards progress, not perfection. So taking that moment to check in with yourself, moving into some breath awareness, bringing all your focus to the breath. Dropping that breath down to the lower belly. We'll be practicing the abdominal breathing, belly breathing throughout the whole practice today. We'll move into a couple 3-part yogic breaths. Like a wave, inhaling into the belly, up to the ribs and the chest. Pausing at the top of the breath and then just simply letting it go. One more 3-part yogic breath. And releasing. So pranayama, a little gentle pranayama in the beginning is always a good way to get your students into their body, into presence. The way that Patanjali and his 8 limbs works on the asana first and then pranayama. So it's nice to do a pranayama practice at the end after. But a little bit of pranayama in the beginning to get your students present. It's a really nice way to start the class. And so I like to always have an intention. I'll invite the students to create an intention for themselves. So we'll create an intention for the practice. And when you're inviting your students to create an intention, always invite them to repeat that intention present moment and positive. So if someone was wanting to lose weight or to be at their perfect ideal weight, instead of saying something like, I will be at my, I will no longer be heavy, let's say. Well, that's the negative. So I'm at my perfect weight, and it's now. It's not I will be, but I'm enjoying my perfect weight, or I am enjoying my perfect career, a beautiful, exciting relationship. And the subconscious only knows the present moment. So if you're saying, I will have a loving, happy relationship, well, then the subconscious means that's in the future. I will. So stating it, I'm in a happy relationship with a person that I love, a partner that I love and loves me, whatever it is you're wanting to create, but say it in a way that's always in the positive, not I'm no longer single. That would be in the negative. So you say it in the positive and the present moment. And inviting them to go into a little bit of mental rehearsal, vividly seeing themselves in that intention and including the emotions they feel, that emotional benefit that is really what they're wanting most of all. So take a moment to enter into that mental rehearsal and see yourself and feel those emotions. And then inviting your students to release that intention to the highest universal consciousness with a this or better. Because we can only see and know what we see and know and have learned and know is possible, but we know what we know, but there's a lot we don't know, we know that we only know a certain amount. Even a doctor knows a lot more than we know, unless we're a doctor, of course, or an, an astronaut knows amazing things we know we don't know. And there's things that we don't even know we don't know that the universe may have. As you move through your life, things happen that you go, wow, I didn't even know this existed. So we're letting that intention and that seed be lifted up to the highest consciousness, the higher mind, to the universe, source, creator, to bring that or something better. If there's something even better that we can attract to ourselves, that we can create an intention for, we're open for better. And then we haven't done the scan, so let's invite a nice little scan, just scanning our own being, becoming present to what's going on here. So noticing the body first. I always invite students to feel that connection to the earth, that grounding, that centeredness, that support of the earth. And then moving into the physical body first, as you just notice this physical body 360 degrees where you're at. You may notice some sensations, always in this place of equanimity, neutral, non-judgment, observer of yourself. And after we scan the physical, move into the energy. So we're moving from that Annamaya Kosha, that physical body, asana, into pranayama in the Pranamaya Kosha, the energy body. So noticing the energy, your vitality, your life force, maybe some tingling, a flowing of energy in and around your body. And the invitation from here is to dive into pratyahara. So noticing the emotional body, what emotions are moving through me in this moment. And maybe not much is happening, or maybe there's a lot of emotional charges and feeling. You never know where you'll be or your students will be at any time. And inviting them to simply feel what's arising without judgment. And it's important to invite them to not even label them, because then you're into the mind and you're intellectualizing them. And an emotion is so multidimensional and may have a little bit of many different emotions. It's a kaleidoscope, and we're inviting them to move into the felt sense, to feel what's arising without having to title it or label it, or move into the mental aspect of that. So inviting them to be in that felt sense of the emotional body, the inner energies, those pulsations, those vibrations, those charges. They may be energy moving through, even some inner trembling, whatever may be there inside of us. And so the yoga is the journey inward, and the eight limbs of Patanjali's 8 limbs is a journey inward to our soul, to our spirit, to our non-physical self, so we can unify to yoga and become one with that inner being. So just taking a moment to move into pratyahara, scanning this inner being, this inner presence. And letting that all go, fully present. And then we begin with some just gentle movements. I love the circles around the hips because we're already sitting, and this allows the torso to move. You can feel the lower back stretching, and just inviting them to move in some spontaneous movements. If they're making circles, it's nice to go both directions and keeping that breath flowing, always reminding them to breathe. And notice the sensations as we move. We're bringing our awareness to the body, to this asana practice. So rather than having the mind being spinning off into thought, whether it's good thought or not good or whatever it might be, is to take the mental and the memories and move them into that presence, that embodiment, this sacred embodiment, feeling the body, bringing the focus there. So that's a little warm up. Another nice little warm up before moving into your main asana practice is the table, cat, cow, up dog flow. So when you're in your table, you can move them into some cat, cow, which is our cow is an extension of the spine, and cat is a flexion of the spine. So we're warming up that spine in a nice, gentle way. Inhaling into your cow, extension, and exhaling into cat. Then inviting that flow. Once they're in cat, their back is rounded, you can bring those hips back and feel an even nicer stretch on the low back. And moving back and forth a little, or some circles. Keeping the breath flowing. Relax the head. You can move all the way down to child's pose. Then you can come up, move back into your table. And add any movements. Some more cat-cow. And you can flow into an up dog. Bring the hands forward a little, bring the hips towards the earth as you move into an up dog. Making some subtle movements here. You can just invite your students to flow from up dog, table, to child's pose, in whichever way works for them. Keeping that breath flowing. and coming back to center. And we're going to move now into our main asana practice. So we're going to start with the camel. And so we're going to invite the students to come up onto our knees. Bringing the hands to the small of the back. We're going to tuck that tailbone under before we go into the back bend to open up those lumbar vertebrae. Bringing the hands to the small of the back. Elbows are coming in a little bit. And begin first, before you go into your back bend, opening up that heart and that chest, and then moving into a nice back bend. Heart is open. Nice gentle extension of the spine. And if you'd like to challenge yourself more, go into deeper pose, you can come down to the heels. You can come up onto the toes, which is my favorite. Bring that earth up a little higher up into your camel. And then moving those hips so they're back over the knees. Nice hip opener as well. Head is in alignment with the spine. We're not going to let it drop. We're going to keep it right in alignment. And engage those bodies and breathe. And on the next inhale, coming up. And we'll move right into a nice counter pose, child's pose. Back bends, forward folds are a nice counter pose. So we want to come gently in. We don't want to move really fast in from a back bend into a forward fold. So we'll come down gently onto the knees and move into our child's pose. It's a gentle forward fold. Has a nice little counter pose. And camel is a pretty intense back bend, but see, we moved a little bit of moved those hips around in our pelvic circles. We moved cat-cow, warming up that spine. We moved from child's pose to up dog, which is also a back bend. We allowed a lot of warm-up movement so that our spine was warm enough to move into a camel. And one more breath in child's pose. Coming up, and we're going to bring those legs out in front of us. It's moving through one of the basic floor practices. And we're going to move into single leg forward fold. So I'm going to keep my left leg straight out. I'm going to bring the sole of the right foot resting on the inner thigh of the left. Inhaling, lengthening the spine. And exhaling, hands can be on the hips, hinging forward. And find that gentle edge. Taking a nice breath here. And see maybe if you can hinge just a little bit deeper. And you can bring the hands to the floor if you like. I like to flex and extend that extended foot. Once you're in your hinge, you're at the bottom of the hinge, you can invite your students to round their backs. Flexing and extending the foot, or just relaxing in the pose. There's also the invitation to massage the foot if you like. Or just take a few breaths and relax. And one more breath here. And gently and kindly coming up. And it's always nice to let your students know that everyone's body's different, their flexibility is different. We're going to move to the other side and not to compare yourself to others or the teacher, the instructor. We're going to bend the left leg, sole of the left foot resting on the inner thigh of the right leg. Inhaling, lengthening the spine. Exhaling, hinging forward. Always nice to invite students to notice the sensations in the body. We're working towards sacred embodiment. Asana is to get us present in the body, ourselves out of all that mental chitta, disturbances, distractions of the mental mind. See if you can hinge a little bit deeper. And when you're at that full hinge, you can allow the spine to round. Flex and extend that foot. You can massage that foot. You can just relax in that pose and bring that awareness inward. The invitation for forward folds is to move the attention inward. And on your next inhale, coming up. We'll move into Baddha Konasana, bringing the soles of the feet together, wrapping the hands around the feet, opening it up, and flapping those butterfly wings. Inhaling, lengthening the spine. Warming up those hips a little. Inhaling again, lengthening the spine and folding forward. Nice forward fold in your butterfly. Opens up the hips. You can just take a breath in your forward fold. Or the option is to invite your students to round their backs if they like. And one more nice deep breath. And on your next inhale, coming up. Beautiful job. And we're right here in position for a little bit of balancing poses. So we're going to first work with our balancing bear. And I like to kind of set the students up, both heels on the earth, hands are wrapped around the feet. And I like to start with just one heel down on the earth, the opposite leg coming up. And finding some gentle movements with the leg, honoring your body. And engage those bandhas and breathe. And moving to the other side. One heel rooted in, and then that opposite leg coming up and feeling a nice stretch, some gentle movements. And breathe and engage Those bandhas feel that pelvic floor gently engaged, your hara, your abdomen, lifting in and up a little, and the tongue on the roof of the mouth, chin comes in a little. Mala Bandha, all three bandhas, sealing the energy in. And then releasing that foot. And then inviting your students to either continue going side to side, or if they want to go into the full balancing bear, can lift both heels up off the floor and then opening up the legs. And then always a little micro bend in your knees. You never want to lock your knees. And seeing this as a balance, we always like to find a drishti, feeling the spine lengthen, engage the bandhas, and find your drishti and breathe. Doesn't matter what the drishti is as long as it's not moving. It can be a little speck of dust. One more breath here. And releasing at the bottom of the exhale. Beautiful job. And now we're ready for our boat. A nice little balance, a floor balance. First thing to do is to set up just like you're balancing bear, set the body, your foundation. Your heels are on the floor, but we're going to lift them up. So the only thing that's going to be is that those sits bones, a little of that sacrum. So feeling that connection to the earth. And as we move the legs up, we're going to be moving back just a little bit as well. I like to move into half boat first and offer this as an option, a modification if you want to be just in half boat. So as you're balancing back on that sacrum and the sits bones, bringing the legs up parallel to the floor into a half boat. So now we're in a half boat. This is a lot easier. It's a nice way to begin, and it's a good modification. And then inviting your students to move into the full boat and breathe. Find your drishti. Inviting them to always come back into half boat if they need to for a break. And as we move out, coming back into your half boat, and then coming out of the pose. And then we'll scoot forward to the front of your mat. And I love spinal rocks. So bringing the hands behind the knees and rocking on your back. And this is important to remind your students that they have a little cushion, a carpet, their mat. But if they're on a cement floor, they may just want to come directly down onto their backs. But spinal rocks activates the rector spinae muscles, the kidneys. It's a really good pose. And here we are on our backs. And we're going to move into a bridge. And so moving into bridge, I always like to move into a half bridge, a two-legged table to just kind of warm up and take a little gentle steps in towards this beautiful back bend. So pressing into the feet, we're going to lift the hips up halfway and feel them just hanging there. And it's a nice sensation. We're very rarely in this position. Just taking a breath or two here. And on your exhale, we're going to come down, but we're going to start from the upper thoracic, the upper back, And we're going to go one vertebrae at a time and come down nice and slowly. From the upper back, the upper spinal column, to the mid-thoracics, to the lower, the lumbar, and even feel that sacrum and tailbone release and relax. And now we can go into the full bridge, pressing into the feet, lifting those hips up, arching that back, coming into some extension, bringing the shoulders underneath, clasping the hands. Feet are parallel, they're not coming out. You can hold a block between your knees. And breathe. One more breath. Bottom of the exhale, releasing the hands, releasing those shoulders, coming back down again like a string of pearls, one vertebrae at a time, massaging those vertebrae. And once you're all the way down, lower back's released, you're released, bringing those knees into the chest and rocking back and forth. We move into a nice little inversion, and we'll be moving into shoulder stand, but I like to always start with just lifting the legs up and flexing and extending the feet. And this is a nice variation for shoulder stand for some people that can't get up into shoulder stand. And you're getting a lot of the same benefit because we're getting the inversions. This energy is coming down, and the veins in the legs are getting a huge break because they're not having to pump that blood up to the heart. Gravity is allowing it to just flow down. So whether you're in shoulder stand or legs are just up, you're getting that benefit. And then you can invite your students, if they'd like to move into shoulder stand, lifting the hips, bringing the hands to the small of the back, and adjusting that chin so it's comfortable, so the throat is in a comfortable position, and looking up at the feet. So the feet are right above the head. So if my feet were like this, they wouldn't be able to eyeball them, or if they're back, you want to have them so that you can look up and you can see those feet. And breathe. One more breath here. A nice invitation from shoulder stand. There's a lot of variations, but we can move into plow. So hinging those hips over, I like to move into, I'm going to move forward a little so you can see me. I don't like to bring the feet down to the floor. I can do that very easily, but it's not the best thing to do repetitively for this lower back. So once you bring the feet, you start to put some stress there. The best for your lower back is to keep those legs parallel to the floor in your plow. And breathe. Beautiful job. And coming out of your plow, it's good to bend those knees, become like a nice little ball. And you can bring the hands down to the floor and gently coming down back onto your back. And we'll extend those legs out. A nice little pose after shoulder stand is Matsyasana, fish pose. And so the palms are face down on the earth, and you're going to bring the hands palms down under your buttocks. Snuggle those arms and forearms and elbows right in close to the body. And then as you press into the elbows and forearms and lift that heart up to the sky, let the head gently relax. And then gently coming down so you're resting on the top of your head. This is a nice little extension back bend in the upper thoracic vertebra. And breathe. Open heart. Back bends are heart openers. One more breath. On the next inhale, we're going to press into the elbows, forearms, lifting out, straightening the body and the head, and coming gently down. Releasing those hands. Go back to bend those knees, and then very gently bringing the knees into the chest. Remembering extensions are always good counter poses for flexion. Forward folds, flexions, extensions. Okay. So forward fold. This is kind of like a forward fold. We're flexing that back a little because we just extended that spine. And then bringing the feet down onto the earth. We're going to move into a supine pigeon. Moving my hips a little bit just to release everything. So my left knee is up, my left foot's on the floor for a moment, and I'm going to rest the right ankle just above the left knee. Lift that left foot off the earth, clasp the hands behind the hamstring, not right under the knees, but a little below the knees and a little above the knee crease, behind the knees. And we're going to have our hands on a little bit of that flesh of the muscle and gently pulling that leg into the body. And feel that nice hip opening on the right side. And you can use this right arm to press into the leg, right leg a little to open up and create more sensation. And engage the bandhas and breathe. Even see if you can pull that leg in a little bit more. One more breath. At the very bottom of the exhale, releasing the leg. Let's move to the other side. So my right knee is up, right foot's on the floor, and I'm going to rest the left ankle just above the right knee. Lifting that right foot off the floor, bringing the right leg towards the body, clasping the hands behind the right hamstring, and gently pulling that leg into the body. Again, using that left elbow to open up the left leg for more sensation. And engage the bandhas and breathe. One more nice deep breath. At the bottom of the exhale, releasing down. Beautiful job. And we're going to move into a seated, a supine spinal twist. And my left leg out. I'm going to come up onto that left side just a little bit. Bending the right knee, bringing the right leg over to the left hand on the right knee to guide it over. And find your twist. The shoulders are both securely connected to the earth. And the right arm comes out 90 degrees and turning the head to gaze out over the right fingertips. And breathe. Noticing all the beautiful sensations in your body. And one more breath. Releasing the leg, coming back onto your back. And we're going to switch legs. So the right leg is out straight, coming up onto that right side an inch or two, bending the left knee, bringing the left knee over to the right hand on the left knee, and taking that left arm out and turning the head to gaze out over the left fingertips. And breathe. One more breath. And releasing the leg, coming back onto your back. And we're going to move into the releases, the cool down, the warm down, the low back releases. Really nice before you move into Savasana is to move into some low back releases. And Kula is one of the best low back releases. Everything is connected to the earth, and we're just swiveling those hips. So feeling that hip, one hip coming up towards the armpit and the other dropping down towards the heel, and then moving to the other side. Nice deep breath as you swivel these hips. You feel that sacrum is the stable point, and the hips are going to move. Keeping the breath flowing. Coming back to center, we can move into hip pointers. So I'm going to have my left butt cheek rooted into the earth as I point the right hip up towards the sky, lift that right butt cheek up off the earth, and then resting, rooting the right hip onto the earth as I point the left. Feeling that sensation as you point those hips one at a time. As a little twist, nice low back release. And the breath flowing and moving back to center. Move into some cat cow on the floor. I always like to move into cat first and feel small of the back pressing into the earth. And then cow, lifting that lower lumbar spine up, arching off the back, off the floor. Moving into your cat cow at your own pace and breathe. And one more time on either side, one more cat and one more cow. And coming back to center. And let's take those feet and bring them nice and wide. Knees are still up. And we'll drop one knee at a time into the center. So we're moving into some nice, slow, repetitive movements as we cool down, we release the lower back, and we prepare for Savasana. And coming back to center, walk those feet together. Feet are touching, and let's drop the knees both over to one side or the other. And there's the options here. Some people like to just windshield wiper those legs side to side. And the other option is to lift that top leg up and bring one leg over. I like to take a moment sometimes in this butterfly pose to just notice the sensations and can bring that bottom leg to meet. Be on the other side. So find your variation. A couple double knee drops. Final little twist and release the lower back. Coming back to center. And making any last movements you need to make before we move into Savasana. I always like to bring my knees to the chest one last time. Final release for the lower back. Little rocking. Find what your body needs. And moving into your Savasana pose. Having a nice, comfortable Savasana pose. Put on some socks if you want, or a jacket, a blanket, an eye pillow so you can be nice and comfortable. Savasana is our last pose, yet the most important of the pose. We allow our bodies to absorb, assimilate all the energies of the practice, integrate this into all levels of our being. And inviting the body to relax, muscles, all the physical systems of the body, including the nervous system, the most subtle, the brain, inviting the energy, the prana to relax, prana body. And then allowing, as you gently turn down the lights or close the blinds, turning off the music, inviting your students to come into silent stillness and allow for several breaths of silence. Taking a nice deep breath into the belly. As you gently come back, continuing nice deep belly breaths as you begin to wiggle the fingers and wiggle the toes, stretching out the arms and the legs. And rolling over to one side or the other, mindfully noticing those shifts of the organs, the fluids, the energy, taking a nice breath here. And when you're ready, coming up to a seated position. And we move into our closing practice. It's good to keep your students in a nice meditative space during this closing, not to bring in any conversations, but to invite them to begin. I really like to, right after Savasana, invite them to scan the body again, noticing the sensations. Now they're a little more present. They've been breathing, the prana's a little more powerful inside them. So noticing from the physical body feels, the energy body, inviting them to notice if there's any shifts, subtle shifts, maybe more than subtle. And diving inward into Pratyahara, notice the inner aliveness, the inner vitality. And then bringing them back to that intention that they set the beginning of practice, just revisiting that, a little mental rehearsal, feeling the emotional benefit, giving them a couple breaths of silence. Releasing that intention with a this or better, this or better, this or better. And if you have time, if you want to do a complete practice, it's nice to do a little breath work and a little short meditation. See where we're at in time here. And this one doesn't say. See where I'm at. Okay, so we'll finish up. Concluding with the Namaste prayer, bringing the hands in front of the heart in Anjali Mudra. I honor the place in you in which the entire universe dwells. I honor the place in you which is of love, light, truth, and peace. When I am in that place in me, and you are in that place in you, we are one. Namaste. Thank you for joining me for this floor practice with the theme of reviewing the elements of a yoga class, a yoga practice. Wishing you a most beautiful and most blessed day.